welcome back to Get Alive, the show where we show you how to get the most out of your life.
That's right, and today we are at Well Adjusted HQ down here looking after our mind, our body and our spirit.
That's right.
And we're with the big cheese, the head honcho, he who must be obeyed, Simon. Hi, Simon.
Hello,
Thanks
Simon.
for coming, everybody. Welcome to Well Adjusted.
Thank you for the tea.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. Tell us a little bit about what you do down here.
Well, we're about everything well adjusted. We're about looking after your mind, like you said, your body, the whole body, not just the food that you eat, but the way you move, the way you stretch, what you put in, herbs, vitamins, making sure your muscles are toned and strengthened so you can be as big and strong as what you are, and as lean and mean as what you are.
Oh,
you know,
too kind.
the body takes investment. We all need to be looking after what we put in, up here, in here, and how we move our body, because that's what gives us longevity.
He's already identified 37 things that are wrong with my body, but you know, that's okay. I'm a work in progress.
On tonight's show, our very own Craig Harper catches up with Leanne to talk functional movement. Erica has an amazing salt and pepper calamari stir fry. Our series on career transitions is especially for mums returning to the workforce.
Then we've got some great tips for your skin.
And George from Relaxed Mind has a look at healing and freeing the authentic self. But first up, for the mums out there, a great fitness program designed to do while carrying your baby.
Sarah, I can't wait to get involved in a Kanga Training class today. But the only problem is, I don't have a baby with me today.
Well, I can help you there. Here's Charlie. He'll be a very good boy.
Hi, Charlie. You better not chuck up on me, mate. Let's do it.
So the class is an hour. The first 15 minutes is roughly floor work, so the babies are involved throughout the whole 15 minutes.
So there's no question, there's a really great energy in here with all the mums, and I'm really bonding with little Charlie here too.
For the rest of the class, the babies are in carriers and generally rock off to sleep.
So we're at the part of the training where the baby's going to be connected to us.
Yes.
With the manduka.
Yes.
Are you going to help fit me?
I'll put it on you right now.
Thank you. Ready, Charlie?
Okay. So this goes around your waist.
Okay.
So the manduka works so well with Kanga Training. Not only is it a comfortable carrier, but it's also extremely safe for the baby. Being that we need to make sure the baby doesn't move around too much, it protects their back and their hips and their head and their neck.
So I've had a range of different carriers. My manduka is actually a new one, and so far it's becoming my favourite. It's really, really comfortable, and she always falls asleep at home. She falls asleep at Kanga Training. She falls asleep. It's the best.
Everything's working really well, but I think I've got to work on my coordination a little more. So do you get mums sort of doing 1 or 2 classes a week generally? How does it work?
We can have mothers doing 1 class a week, up to 3 classes a week. So it's really up to them. The more that they want to, the more they keep coming, the more they seem to want to do more. So
I like the camaraderie, the other mums, they're all going through the same stuff as us. It doesn't matter if they cry, vomit, poo. Everybody's been there, everybody is more than happy to help out, babysit kids while you get nappies, or even just laugh and play with them while you're going to the loo. It's good to have other mums around.
Quite hard to find childcare and things like that, so it's good to be able to do something where you can actually take them all along.
It's a good workout, and I get to be close to my baby, and that's what I wanted from a workout session. It's very hard to find something that allows you to wear your baby. It's usually they put them in creche or in a stroller, and so it's nice to be able to get a workout with her and get her to have a nap for a good hour.
Finally, we're at the warm down stage. I've had the best time in here, and even when I couldn't get the steps right, there were no judgment from the other mums.
Not at all.
Had a bit of a sexy mama dance as well. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for coming down and giving it a go, and I just hope more mums around the country can see what we do and find a class closest to them.
Yeah, well, you've got to do that, guys. You've got to get on our website at getalife.tv, check out where you can find the Kanga Training classes, and also get your hands on one of these awesome manduka carriers.
Well, Andy, the physio here at Well Adjusted, has me in a carrier of his own. What is this, Andy?
This is called Red Cord, and it's a suspension apparatus from Norway, which we use to Just while we're talking, if you just want to have a go of pushing down into the straps and lifting your hips up.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll feel that you're activating your glutes there when you're doing that. And also because of the instability there, you're tending to use your abdominal muscles to help stabilise. So we use this apparatus a lot with our lower back pain clients, for example, also problems around the hips and the pelvis. Because of the instability that's built into the unit, you tend to bias your own stabilising mechanisms. So you tend to use those lower abdominal muscles and pelvic floor. So it's really good with retraining those. And if you just lower down again and lift up, and now when you come up there, do a few little movements in and out. So those little changes you're having to make all the way through, we find those carry over for people better into their day-to-day activities.
Well, while I do this, our very own Craig Harper catches up with Leanne to talk functional movement.
Lee Hamilton, hello.
Hi, Craig.
Welcome to Get a Life.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're starting to hear about this thing. Well, we're not starting. It's well and truly entrenched, called functional training, where we're getting people doing lots of different modalities of training and stimulating their body in a different way. You're a guru, you wouldn't say it, but I'm going to say you're a guru in that space. You're one of Australia's leading educators and experts in that space at Swift. How long have you been working with people in the fitness space, full stop?
Okay, so I've been working in the fitness space for about 20 years now.
Wow.
So in the early days, very traditional types of training that I used to train people.
Yeah.
So exactly, where you say you've come from. So your bench presses, your squats, all that type of stuff.
Old school?
Old school, yeah. And I guess it wasn't until I had my first child and then all of a sudden I realised that, and I remember it so exactly, I came home from my first workout after having my bub and I was nicking around the kitchen, trying to sort some stuff out really quickly. I had some post soreness going on. I think I'd done a legs day a couple of days before that. And I had a little baby that was starting to cry. I was starting to move faster. And then all of a sudden I went down to pick up something from a bottom cupboard.
Yeah.
And it was quite heavy. And I went to lift it up. And in the weird wacko position I was in, I realised there was two things.
Yeah.
One, if I picked that up, I was going to injure myself.
Yeah.
And two, the whole way I've been training
Yeah.
does not serve this purpose.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I thought, I'm training myself like this, and yet I'm training a whole lot of other mums, dads, people out there in the real world that are trying to move like this.
Yeah.
Yet the way we're training doesn't equal the way we're moving in real life. So it's about looking at the body and going, okay, this is how we would move if we did this, but how can we move better so we don't create any injuries?
When we're training in a functional environment where we're not doing all the old school stuff, what kinds of things, what kinds of movements, what kinds of equipment, what kinds of ways do you stimulate the bodies of your clients?
So the first thing you want to do is, if you're in a centre that practices good functional fitness, you're doing a check-in with yourself before you move. So we've got to understand that functional fitness is a holistic form of training. So generally you want to walk in and you'll be checking, have you been hydrated for the last 24 hours? How's your sleep pattern been? How are you moving? How's your nutrition been? And have you got any pain, illness or anything coming or going from the body?
Yeah.
We need to know that because you're about to go into a session where you've got to check in with your body.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a long system. You just kind of go in, check through all those, or your trainer checks through it with you. And then what we do is we start to go into a warm-up / assessment mode. Depending on what studio you're training at with it, all of them have their slightly different assessment modes with it. In mine, we basically stand up and we will work through how much motion the ankle has, and then we'll work through how much range of motion the hip joint has, and then we'll work through how much range of motion the top thoracic area has. And we just do a check off.
Lee Hamilton, you're awesome. Your business name is Swift. What is your website?
So swiftfitness.com.au.
Yeah.
And you can find us on Facebook as well. So Swift Fitness on Facebook.
Thank you very much for joining us on Get a Life.
Thanks for having me.
We are having a chat with Julian, who is an acupuncturist. She's about to acupuncture me I'm not sure if is that the term. What do I treat me?
Yes, treat you.
Treat me?
Needle you.
Needle me? Oh my God! Tell us a little bit about the theory and the practice of acupuncture.
Acupuncture is based on the meridian system of the body, which is the energy, the chi. And what we're doing is trying to balance the body using acupuncture needles.
Yep.
Sedating if there's too much energy or tonifying if there's too little.
All right, here I go. Wish me luck. I'm about to get my dodgy elbow fixed by the very miraculous Julian, who's going to heal me. I'm a little bit nervous, but don't come out of it.
Take a deep breath and relax. Breathe out. All right, we're in.
Ah, feel faint. Coming up next, the lovely Erica is going to share one of her mouth-watering, nutritionally beautiful meals with us right now.
Hello, I'm so excited. You'll love this. 3 ingredients. The most delicious, quick, easy meal. Salt and pepper calamari with some Persian feta and stir-fry veg. It seriously can't get any easier than that. So I buy the calamari already salt and peppered, but you can buy it and put salt and pepper all over it. I love a little bit of this Persian feta. This has got a bit of dill and garlic. And all we do, I told you it was easy, is put it all in together. And then you put it on the stove, stir it all around, and really 5 minutes later, you are serving up and eating this delicious, yummy meal. I love being able to make something simple, healthy, and delicious. And here is your delicious salt and pepper calamari with Persian feta and stir-fry veg. What I love about this is the feta makes a beautiful creamy sauce, so you look like you're really clever, which is my absolute goal in cooking, is it has to look fabulous, but actually not require any gourmet cooking skills. And here it is. I know you're salivating over there, George. Come on in. This is the key.
Oh, I love calamari.
Woohoo! Excellent. Have a great meal.
Well, listen up, you new moms out there. If you've been thinking about getting back into the workforce, here's Katherine McKenzie to help you navigate that transition. All right, Zach, this is a spot right up here. Anyone who's taken a break from the workplace knows how difficult it can be to get back to work. Women, with the added restraints of having children, have their own set of struggles when it comes to returning to work.
Some mums just don't cope at home with being just a mum with the kids. And that's okay, and it's okay if you do want to be a stay-at-home mum, that's okay too, but you know, I'm certainly not one.
I'm here with Kathy from Fire Up Coaching, and Kathy, you see this all the time.
I do, Talia, and it's a real challenge for women because depending on whether it's their first baby or they've got a couple of kids, the challenges are different. So the interesting thing is when it's a first baby. When it's your first baby, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So, you know, someone who's having their first baby, and I remember here, you know, it's the plan of I'll be back at work in 3 months and I'll be doing this, and then all of a sudden this beautiful bundle of joy arrives and your values change completely. Yeah. So it's a really important thing to reassess where you're at once you've had a baby.
And then once women decide that they want to get back to work, what do you suggest?
Look, I think it's really important to rethink where you're at and to look at the role that you had before you had the, whether it's your first or your second child, and think about whether that's still appropriate. You know, your values do change and your responsibilities change as a mum. And I think all too often women try and be, you know, superwoman, yeah, and be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, you know, and this superstar in the workplace. And often, and I find this myself sometimes, you know, you try and overcompensate and be everything to everyone, and you really need to reassess and think about what's the most important things at this moment in my life and what's going to give me the balance so that I can be the mum that I want to be, that I can be the partner and still be able to contribute to the personal relationship, which is so important. You know, what's the purpose I want in my workplace and how do I
balance all of those complexities.
And sometimes women were our own worst enemy. I mean, I know me, I don't have a kid yet, but I'm already comparing myself to others. How do mothers handle that?
Absolutely, it's one of the big challenges is that you need to compare self to self, because as you say, as women, we look around and go, oh my God, she's got a figure back already, or, you know, God, she's working full time and she's, you know, doing an MBA, and, you know, people compare to other people, and it's not a realistic thing to do. For each of us, we've got our own qualities that we need to think about. What am I doing to actually assess where I'm at and where I want to go, and how does that fit into my life, rather than looking around and comparing yourself to others.
I still to this day don't compare myself to anyone. If someone's up there, to me, it's more like they're my role model, and I look to them for inspiration, and I go, wow, you know, they're doing something I love. I can actually do that too, and I find what they did and I take the steps that I take, and, you know, and that's how I work. I don't compare myself anymore.
It seems like it's such a personal thing, you know, that each situation is different and you need to assess it for yourself as an individual, not just as a generic mother.
Absolutely, and I think that's where the support comes in, is talking to other people, not thinking that you need to actually work this all out by yourself. That's why mothers groups can be such a great support. When we get people in the courses, you know, the mums will all be chatting and giving each other great tips on how to create that balance. So it's very personal, but it's also really important to get that support and to make sure that you've got a good support network around you, because it can be very isolating being at home. And as you know, if you've been busy and in this wonderful corporate role, and then all of a sudden you're in a totally new role, you've got to really rethink about how you want your life to play out after that.
Some really great advice there, Kathy, not just for mums, but really anyone trying to get back to work. We're going to be back with Kathy next week, and what are we going to chat about then?
Thanks, Talia. Next week we're going to talk about the challenges of ageing in the workforce.
I'm with the lovely Jo, who's down here working with people, helping them change their lives and bodies. Enjoying it?
Yep, love it.
What about the people you work with? What's the average age range?
The average age range is between 60 and 90.
60. See, no one is too old to get in shape. Jo's changing lives, so maybe it's time for you to change yours. Speaking of a life-changing person, George is such a man. He's here to tell us about travelling the path to enlightenment. Take a peek.
Hi everyone, George Gintella's here. Today we're going to talk about how to free up your authentic real self. And what do I mean by that? Your authentic real self is basically how to use the spiritual part of you, how to free up the spirit of you in your body. Because the truth is, who you really are isn't your thoughts, it isn't your emotions, it isn't even your physical body. The real you is a spiritual being living in a body. And what I normally do with people is once they've come in, they've done some short-term work, 3-4 sessions to clear up a limiting belief. Sometimes people come back and they want to go even further. They want to really transform their lives. They really want to fully feel embodied in their life, so they go further and they'll do longer term work. A lot of those sessions happen on the mat where the person lies down. There is more hands-on work with it. And by this stage, the person or the client is pretty well built trust in me, and they know that it's safe to be vulnerable, to open up, to heal some even the deeper stuff that's happened in the person's past. And that can include normally some deep physical trauma, physical abuse, maybe sexual trauma. And the way you know you've kind of got some really deep stuff there that needs to be worked through, again, through your body, not just talking about it, is if you feel like you dissociate, which means you feel like you're not fully in your body. Some people will say, oh, I'm walking around half the time and I'm actually above my body, or just living in part of my body, or you're not spontaneous with your friends and family. You feel like there's a little gap between you and your spontaneity, your real authentic self. It's just not coming out natural. Or you're using your intellect to try and work out how to be and how to behave and what's appropriate behaviour and how to be. You're trying to use your intellect to be spontaneous, which doesn't work. It's got to be natural. And for that, it has to come from your gut, has to come from your heart. And for that, your spirit has to be in your body. Now, as people do this deep work and come back into their body, what happens, the beauty that happens if you do decide to do this work, because you have to actually be vulnerable to do it, you have to have the courage to face the bits that you're really afraid of in your body. As you do it and free that up, you get even more peace of mind, you get even more love for yourself and others, you get even more joy in your life, and you feel even more free and more fully in your body, and you have more control of it. It's just an amazing state to work from. The other beauty of it is you become more present. You have more presence in yourself. What we mean by that is that you're not running off your intellect anymore. And what that means is that you get more present in this present moment now. Because the truth is, only this moment is real, right? There's no other moment but this one. And your intellect can't make sense of that because your intellect is sitting there creating time. The reality right now is actually here now, eternal, forever. There's no time. Time is just a creation of the intellect, and we need it, and it's great, and we use it. It helps us to plan ahead for things and to meet and do our job and think and write and everything else. But the real you, the essence of you, if you want to be authentic and spontaneous and alive, is to live in the present moment. And that doesn't mean just do what you like. It means you're free in this present moment without all this past stuff, past memories and past traumas and past things you've been given running you, and you filtering through them before you actually respond in the world. Okay, so there you go. So I've given you a lot of information to think about to make that change in your life. And if you want to contact me, feel free. Very happy to hear from you. All the very best. May see you again.
Helping me look after my body today is Ian here at Well Adjusted. You're a chiro, is that right?
That's right.
So what can I expect from my my first time?
Today, your first time, we'll be doing some very subtle, gentle bits and pieces. And ultimately what we'll be doing is looking for areas of your body that aren't moving and performing as well as they could do. So we'll start with the pelvis and the spine, and it's kind of like we use this analogy of this ball which moves beautifully and smoothly. When it gets stuck, when it gets jammed, it's hard to move, and I want every piece of your body to be moving smoothly so it's efficient and so you can have fun and play and live life.
Great. Well, I do got a little bit of pain in my neck, so is that something you think you can help me out with?
Without a shadow of a doubt, we'd work with that all the time.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, are you comfortable there?
Yes.
Wonderful.
All right, well, while I enjoy my first time at the chiro, here's Con with some tips for how to look after your skin. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wished you could turn back time? Well, I know I have. And anti-aging is something that we're constantly battling as women and as men. And today I have with me Con from Plunkett's, and you're going to talk to us about how Vita E can be used as an anti-aging product.
Vitamin E is a very, very important vitamin, as are many vitamins, and they can make a significant difference to our skin. And it's important when we're talking about vitamins to make sure that the active ingredients are a high potency at therapeutic levels, and it's also important to make sure, if we can, that the vitamin E ingredient is natural, because that's much more potent than synthetic vitamin E's.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So how is an ingredient active as compared to a non-active?
It's really the levels of the ingredient in the formulation that's going to determine whether it's going to make a difference, or it's just really what we call a label claim. It's on there because it's on the label, but we want to make sure the international units, which are the standard that tell us how much of the vitamin E is actually in the cream, that's what we want to do to measure the potency of the vitamin E we're applying on our skin.
Right, well, I want something that's highly potent. What would I do?
Our skin suffers oxidization, just like metal rusts, and you know metal that looks rusty looks old, ready for the dump. Well, our skin also suffers oxidization, and vitamin E has a powerful ability to resist that oxidization, which prematurely ages the skin, makes it look twice as old as it is.
Yeah, great, I don't want to look like an old rusty car. How do I get vitamin E into my skin? How do I, treat that?
So we can use a cream, we can use a high potency oil, or we can use an ointment. So there's various ways of applying vitamin E to our skin. If we're using a cream, we might see that as an application that we would use morning and night to use on our face to get broad application. If we're using a high potency oil, that's good for those areas of expression lines and crow's feet around the
we
eyes,
all have a few of
where
those.
you need that extra help. And an ointment can be good for those tough areas of dry or irritated skin that just needs that extra help. So there are three ways that we can deliver high potency vitamin E that can act as an antioxidant. So that's what stops the aging process.
Yeah, great.
It also improves our skin's elasticity and suppleness because it replaces the lost moisture in our skin. And transepidermal water loss, which is a technical term,
it sounds very technical.
just means that unfortunately, because we're using soaps and detergents too much, we are allowing a lot of water loss through the skin, and that leads to basically dehydration. And so vitamin E can replenish those lost oils in the skin and improve the skin's protective barrier, and the result is the skin stays soft, supple, smooth and young, and we can prevent that aging process or even turn back the clock.
Gosh, I'm really beginning to get my head around vitamin E. It's such a potent and powerful ingredient.
And you know, if you combine that with rosehip oil, which contains vitamins A and C, together you get boosting of the antioxidant action. Vitamin A also stimulates the collagen in the skin, and the collagen is what keeps the skin plump and supple and looking young. You get a much better outcome using those ingredients together. And the other thing is, it's important to look for the things that shouldn't be in the skincare, things like colours and fragrances and fillers like parabens. If we can avoid those, we get a much better result without introducing other irritating ingredients in the formulation. I think that's important as well.
I need to get some vitamin E into my skin ASAP. And maybe you're thinking the same thing. We do have a great deal available at the getalife.tv website. Follow the Plunkett link. And Con, what are we talking about next week?
Well, next week, Tylee, we're going to be entering into the fascinating world of cosmeceuticals.
Well, we've come to the end of the show and the end of our time here at Well Adjusted, and I'm certainly feeling a lot more adjusted. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, it's been fun. We've had our mind and our kind of spiritual selves and our physical selves given a little bit of an overhaul. I've enjoyed my time, Simon. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
For more information on Simon, Well Adjusted, or any of the guests you've seen on tonight's program, head to getalife.tv. And until next time, get a life.